On the news tonight, Governor Oyetola calls for rededication as Muslims celebrate Hijrah 1444 AH. Reps meet military chiefs amidst rising insecurity. While on the foreign scene, 4 die in fresh clash between protesters and security forces in Guinea. Good evening and welcome to the major reports. I am Olubomi Ajiboye Agbola. Osun State Governor Mr. Adegboyega Oyetola has admonished the Muslim faithful to rededicate themselves to the peace, progress, and security of the state and the country at large. The governor, who gave the admonition at an event organized to celebrate Hijrah 1444 AH in Osogbo, also urged Muslims to reflect on the significance of Hijrah, which promotes good virtues. Oluchi Amoda has the details.
The Hijrah 1444 AH celebrations, organized by the state government in partnership with Osun Muslim community, attracted the who is who in the Islamic world in Osun State and beyond. While addressing the gathering, Governor Adegboyega Oyetola stated that Hijrah is not only a lunar calendar that reminds Muslims of the persecution Prophet Muhammad faced in Mecca before migrating to Medina, but also the need for everyone to rededicate themselves to the worship of Allah by doing away with bad habits. The governor, who was represented by the Commissioner for Regional Integration and Special Duties, Engineer Olalekan Badmus, urged Muslims to promote virtues of love, good neighborliness, and peaceful coexistence.
Let me all assume that peaceful coexistence among the people of various faiths in the state must not be compromised for anything, regardless of ethnic, religious, and political differences. I want everyone to embrace values that are capable of strengthening our existing unity in diversity.
In his remarks, the Grand Imam of Osun State and Grand Patron Osun State Muslim community, Sheikh Musa Anim Mashan, stated that Allah has been merciful to the people and the state, adding that Allah's mercy manifested in the conduct of a peaceful election in the state. Sheikh Anim Mashan urged everyone to work towards the progress of Osun State, irrespective of party leanings. In his lecture entitled Islam and Politics in a Multi-Religious Setting, the guest lecturer, Associate Professor Abdul Fattah Makinde, said any Muslim public office holder that wants to be successful must emulate Prophet Muhammad, who successfully played politics in a multi-religious setting by upholding the principles of justice, accountability, fear of Allah, and genuine interest of the people at heart. He maintained that a good leader must love humanity without discrimination as practiced by Prophet Muhammad.
For us to achieve a society that is peaceful, a society that is free of corruption, a society that is free of kidnappers, terrorists, we just have to have justice.
In his goodwill message, the Arabiji of Irabiji, Oba Abdul Rashid Olabomi, Odondo IV, bemoaned what he described as imbalance in the flow of information and urged Muslims to invest in information and communication technology for the propagation of Islam. Earlier in their remarks, Chairman of the occasion, Professor Muhib Okweloye, and the President of the State Muslim Community, Alhaji Mustafa Olawuyi, appreciated Governor Oyetola for leading the states in the southwest to declare Hijrah as a public holiday. They called on other states to emulate Osun State.
The government that gave us should be appreciated, and we appreciate the government.
The Gregorian calendar that is popular in this part of the world does not cater for spiritualism of the Muslims, since we don't rely on it to begin and end Ramadan.
The event climaxed with a march past by students of various Islamic primary and secondary schools in the state, as well as presentation of awards to the winners. Oluchi Amuda, OSBC News.
As Muslims all over the world celebrate the new Islamic calendar Hijrah 1444 AH, the Grand Musfar of Osogbo land, Sheikh Abdul Latif Abajaoro, called on Muslim faithfuls to reflect on the numerous lessons and imbibe the spirit of forgiveness. Sheikh Abajaoro made the call at the special prayer session organized to commemorate the advent of the new Islamic calendar year, Hijrah 1444 AH. Omotayo Adebodo has more.
Muslim community in Oshogbo held a special prayer for the commencement of the new Islamic calendar, Hijrah 1444. The prayer held at the Oshogbo Held Prayer Ground had in attendance the Grand Imam of Oshogbo and his entourage, representative of Atauja of Oshogbo land, Islamic scholars, and Muslim faithful. While speaking with OSBC News on the significance of Hijrah, the Grand Mufassir of Oshogbo land, Sheikh Abdul Latif Yusuf Abajaoro, called on all Muslims to reflect on the numerous lessons and that they must imbibe the spirit of magnanimity to forgive their enemies.
You need to desist from all evil deed. The evil deed, when you leave the evil deed and follow the good deed, that means you have migrated in the way of Allah. You don't need to contravene the rule and regulation of Allah. By following the rule and regulation of Allah, that means you are following the teaching of the Prophet and shows the significance of Hijrah in Islam.
The migration of the Prophet Muhammad and those of his Sahaba, who were the first to lead the way from Mecca to Medina in order to settle down there, was not only an important event but a turning point in the history of Islam, which evidently contributed to the progress and generation of Islamic heritage. Hijrah was an epoch-making event in the history of Islam. Its significance ranges from its literal meaning to social, political, and religious aspects of humanity. The Hijrah calendar is used to mark a number of significant Islamic events and dates like Ramadan, Eid al-Victory, Eid al-Kabir, and the beginning of the Hajj season. Omotayo Adebodun, OSBC News.
Prophet Muhammad is an exemplary leader who did everything possible to quench bloodshed in Mecca despite the level of persecution against him and his ministry by fleeing the city at the expense of retaliation against the Arabian pagans. President of Osun State Muslim Community Alhaji Mustafa Olawi, who disclosed this on OSBC TV Current Affairs program Saturday morning, encouraged world leaders to copy the administrative styles of the Prophet, especially in the area of security, which enabled economic viability of Saudi Arabia Peninsula.
We are spreading in the country today is because we are not following the teachings of Hijrah. Hijrah tells us that you are patient with other people. You move from what is bad to what is good. Try to change your mind to what is good. You know, you worship money, we worship materials in this country. Nobody wants to worship the Almighty Allah himself, who created us and gave us the sustenance himself. We cheat one another, we kill, we mean, we are so corrupt. And this is anti-God. When God is angry with a nation, that nation is trouble. The Prophet moved because something good should be meted out to people. He prevented killing of people, especially women and children in Mecca. That's because they hated him because of that. He said he should not be corrupt. Whatever you owe somebody, give him back what is due to him. If you employ somebody, give him what is relative to what he needs to, to maintain himself.
Alhaji Olawiye also enjoyed the pressmen to always balance their reports in a way to ensure fair, just, and equitable society.
Yeah, has the power to make or mark what you have in the nation. For instance, there are certain things you have to cover. Negative reporting is rampant. It's more than 80% in this country. You don't report what is good. So we have to appeal to our people in the media, both print and electronic media. Please make this country good for us, because you can destroy a government, you can destroy the nation, you can also make the nation great by reporting us to the outside world that we are good people, we are not what they usually think we are.
Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has congratulated the General Superintendent of Christ Holy Church, Odozi Obodo, Archbishop Daniel Oko, on his election as the new president of the Christian Association of Nigeria. The president's congratulatory message was contained in a statement by his media aide, Mr. Femi Adesina, in Abuja. According to President Buhari, Archbishop Oko's election was a testament to his devotion to the Church of God in the country and beyond, distinguished vocation as a Christian leader, and abiding commitment in promoting ecumenism and interfaith dialogue. The president stated that he valued the counsel and spiritual contributions of Christian leaders to nation building by encouraging, advising, strengthening, correcting, and criticizing those in authority. He prayed that the tenure of Archbishop Oko in the new phase of ministry would be marked with success, urging the blocs that made up CAN to kindly give the cleric every needed support to excel. President Buhari also wished the outgoing president, Reverend Dr. Samson Ayokunle, best wishes in his spiritual and secular endeavors. Osun State House of Assembly has passed the state local government areas and creation. Osun State House of Assembly has passed the State Local Government Areas Creation and Administration Amendment Number 5 Bill 2022 into law. The passage of the bill was consequent on due consideration of the debate and the necessary legislative procedures undertaken by the lawmakers at the plenary. Parliamentary reporter Oluwatosin Oladokun has the details.
The Speaker of the State of Osun House Assembly, Honorable Timothy Owoye, has explained that the consideration of the bill is to enable local governments administration have democratically elected leadership to pilot their affairs through the presidential system of government. Honorable Owoye held that in view of these developments, Osun Independent Electoral Commission will be guided by the just passed law.
That has been the third reading of the bill. So now on the system of local governments in the state of Osun as back to presidential system, where member of executive will be different from member of the legislative body.
In the same vein, the State of Osun Independent Electoral Commission Bill 2022 was similarly passed into law. Thereafter, a motion was moved by the majority leader of the House, Honorable Maruf Olarewaju, who encouraged his colleagues on the timely needs to read the University of Ilesha Osun State Establishment Bill 2022 with a view to ensuring a law that is capable of upgrading Osun State College of Education, Ilesha, to university. Having seconded the motion by the lawmaker representing Igbo State constituency, Honorable Adebayo Usamat, the bill sailed through the first reading.
The purpose of the bill is to establish and regulate the University of Ilesha Osun State as a citadel of learning and to make it attain international standards.
In the course of the plenary, Chairman House Committee on Public Accounts, Honorable Benga Ogunkomi, presented the report of the committee set up to unravel financial operation of the College of Education, Ilaonabon. According to the Public Accounts Committee Chairman, Honorable Benga Ogunkomi, recommended the need for the College of Education, Ilaonabon, to always carry Auditor General abreast of our accounts. The House thereafter adopted the committee reports. Oluwatosin Oladokun, OSBC News.
The House of Representatives Committee on Defense held an emergency meeting with the military high command over threats by terrorists to attack the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Reports said that the committee's meeting with the military top brass took place about 24 hours after the President Buhari met with the nation's security chiefs under the auspices of National Security Council at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. Some members of the National Assembly, especially the Minority Caucus, had issued a 6-week ultimatum to the president to address the security crisis across the country or be impeached. The opposition lawmakers who issued the threat were said to have the backing of some aggrieved members of the ruling All Progressives Congress. The meeting with the military top brass came less than 24 hours after gunmen attacked a military checkpoint at the Zuma Rock Madala, a few kilometers from the seat of power. The terrorists who launched the ferocious attack on the soldiers manning the checkpoint also abducted 5 persons. The incident occurred on the heels of a similar attack on the Presidential Guards Brigade troops on the Buhari-Kubwa Road, in which a captain, a lieutenant, and 6 other soldiers were killed, while others were wounded. The commander of the Vigilance Group of Nigeria in the Buhari Area Council, Titus Ayabiweye, who was killed during the attack on the Presidential Guards Brigade, has been buried. Osun State Governor Mr. Adegboyega Oyetola has described late Gbenga Ojo as a worthy politician whose contributions to the development of All Progressives Congress in the state will continue to be a reference point for the party. Governor Oyetola said this at Erepa in Boluwaduro local government during a condolence visit to the family of the deceased APC stalwart in the state. Shijuade Additional's report is presented from our studios.
Mr. Adegboyega Oyetola was in Eripa, home of the late Gbenga Adewale Ojo, who lost his life in an accident along Ikirun-Osogbo Road during the preparation for the just concluded gubernatorial election. Governor was received by the aged mother, wife, children, and the friends of the deceased. Governor Adegboyega Oyetola, who was represented by his political advisor, Oluomo Sunday Akere, was accompanied by the Commissioner for Commerce, Cooperatives, Industry and Empowerment, Dr. Bode Olaonipekun, Director General, Bureau of Social Service, Mr. Richard Tinubu, and the APC Chairman, Mr. Oke Olabisi, and 2 of the SSA to the state governor, Messrs. Yinka Ishola and Olufunsho Fagbongbe. Governor commiserated with the wife and the entire family of the deceased, saying the government, in its capacity, will support them to reciprocate the faithfulness and commitment of their breadwinner to the All Progressive Congress in the state. According to him, the APC will miss the deceased in Eripa and Buru local government at large. The governor, through Oluomo Sunday Akere and others who are part of the visitation, were emphatic as the aged mother, wife, and children left by the deceased were so devastated by the calamity of separation of their relation. The governor, at the occasion, presented a cash gift to the 4th son of the deceased and promised not to abandon the family.
Give glory to God for the little life he spent. He has made his own mark. Bó ṣe mọ̀ kò sẹ́ni tí ò mọ̀ láàrin wa. Mr. Observer. But oyè Ọlọ́run, for this, majority of us cannot even lè wò pé kí ni ó ṣe rí báyìí. So it was just shocking and devastating. But lè query Ọlọ́run. Àwọn fẹ́ ròyìn pé Ọlọ́run alágbára á dúró tì yín. Àmín. Ọlọ́run alágbára á dẹ̀ ṣe bàbá fáwọn ọmọ tó fi sílẹ̀. Àmín. Lágbára Ọlọ́run ìyà ò ní jẹ wọ́n, ìyà ò ní jẹ nìkankan. A dẹ̀ ṣèlérí pé gẹ́gẹ́ bí àwa náà tá a jẹ́ ọ̀gá, tá a jẹ́ irọ̀, tá a jẹ́ alájọṣepọ̀. We will not be too far from the family.
Responding on behalf of the family, the aged mother appreciated Governor Adegboyega Oyetola for identified with the family at the critical period of the family.
You are welcome to our sports segment. Leicester City has rejected Newcastle United's offer to sign attacking midfielder James Maddison this summer. The England midfielder had 12 goals in 35 appearances for the Force last season. Omotayo Adebodo has the details.
Leicester City have rejected a £40 million bid from Newcastle United for playmaker James Maddison. Fox's boss, Brendan Rodgers, is here to make a significant signing during the current transfer window and needs to raise funds to allow Leicester City comply with the financial fair play. Maddison has 2 years remaining on his Leicester City contract, having signed an extension in 2020. The midfielder scored 12 goals in 35 Premier League appearances last season. It is unknown whether the former Coventry midfielder who joined Leicester City from Norwich City for £20 million in 2018 would be in favour of a move to St James's Park. In the meantime, Arsenal has announced that Norwegian international Martin Odegaard is the new club's captain. The Gunners made the announcement in a statement released on their website today. Odegaard joined Arsenal from Real Madrid in 2021 during the January transfer window before the deal was made permanent. The 23-year-old has made a huge impact since arriving at Emirates Stadium from Real Madrid in January 2021, initially on loan, and has gone to play 60 times, scoring 9 goals. Odegaard has experience of wearing the armband, having been Norway's captain since March 2021, who he has won 43 appearances for. Meanwhile, Watford's coach Rob Edward has ruled out any possibility of selling Emmanuel Dennis this summer, hinting that he could make his English Championship debut against Sheffield United on Monday. Despite the drop into Championship last season, Dennis impressed at Vicarage Road after joining from Club Brugge for £3.5 million last July when he signed a 5-year contract. The 24-year-old was one of the new few shining lights in a difficult season for Watford last season and has been linked with several Premier League clubs like Nottingham Forest, Everton, Newcastle United, West Ham and Villarreal in this transfer window, having finished the season with 10 goals and 6 assists from 33 appearances. Omotayo Adebodun, OSBC News.
So the foreign saying, fresh clashes between Guinea's security forces and protesters unhappy with plans for transition back to democracy has left 4 people dead in Conakry, the capital of the country. Abisola Ilori has the details of this story and more.
Fresh clashes between Guinea security forces and protesters unhappy with plans for transitioning back to the democracy has left 1 person dead in Conakry, the capital of the country. In a statement by the authorities, the local hospital received a body of a 58-year-old man who was shot at his workplace. However, the National Front for the Defense of the Constitution, the influential coalition that called the protest, told journalists that the clashes had left 4 dead and several wounded by bullets, with 5 being between life and death. According to the statements from a local press union, 4 journalists were attacked by protesters, which it strongly condemned the retrograde act. It was learned that the latest unrest came a day after protests against Guinea's junta and its handling of plans to return to democracy brought Conakry to a standstill. Meanwhile, Pope Francis has said he's considering stepping down if his health could not allow himself in the way he should. Pope Francis made a comment at the end of a trip to Canada where he apologized to indigenous people, stressing that for the moment he intends to continue in his duties and will be guided by God as to when he will step down. He said that his retirement is an option, but has not knocked on that door as he is not thinking about the possibility. In recent months, Pope Francis has suffered ongoing knee trouble that has impacted his mobility as he spent much of his visit to Canada in a wheelchair. However, he has previously dismissed speculation about more serious life-threatening illnesses. The Pope, whose predecessor, Benedict, retired due to ill health in 2013, did say that he was near to visit Ukraine soon, but would have to seek advice for his doctors first. On his visit to Canada, his sombre focus had been to apologize to indigenous people of the region for the wrongs committed against him by those within the Catholic Church. Meanwhile, Spain has reported its second monkeypox-related death 1 day after announcing what is believed to be the first fatality linked to the current outbreak in Europe. The Spanish Health Ministry say among the 3,750 patients, 120 have been hospitalized and 2 have died without specifying the date of the second death. The ministry told journalists that the analysis will be carried out later to determine the cause of death. According to the Health Ministry's agency and Alert Coordination Center, 4,298 people in Spain have been infected, making it one of the world's hardest hit countries. The announcement came after Brazil also reported its first monkeypox-related death on Friday, with previous fatalities confined to Africa, where the virus is endemic and was first detected in 1970. It is unclear if monkeypox caused any of the 3 deaths, with Brazilian authorities saying its deceased patients suffered from other serious conditions. The World Health Organization chief Tedros Ghebreyesus declared the outbreak a global health emergency, the highest alert level it can sound. Abisola Ilori reporting for OSBC News.
Since the major report on OSBC TV, it was edited by Kayode Adebayo. I am Olubomi Ajiboye Agbuola. Good night.